Good morning, everybody. I'm Jennifer Francis, Chair of Capital Angel Network, and on behalf of Capital Angel Network and Invest Ottawa, I would like to welcome all of you in the room who braved the snowstorm and all of you online watching from home to our 5th IWW Angel Breakfast. And I just want to say how wonderful these events have been. When we started these events, Capital Angel Network had 3 women angels in the group. I was one of them. I think the other 2 were also in the room. And we occasionally, but not very often, invested in companies with a woman founder. After 5 years of these events, we are now at 30% women angels at Capital Angel Network. And in 2022, 50% of our investments had a woman as the founder or co-founder of the team. And I want to thank all of you because it's with the support of everybody here and at home that makes this possible and allows women founders in the region to grow their businesses and thrive. So thank you very much. And with that, I'm going to introduce Sonia Shorey, Vice President of Strategy and Marketing at Invest Ottawa.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. It is incredible. I'm so grateful so many people braved the snowstorm. We are kicking off our 5th International Women's Week here in the capital with partners across the country and around the world, and it's an honor to join you this morning. Before we begin our program, I would like to acknowledge that the land on which we gather today, both in person and virtually, is the traditional unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe people. We are very grateful to have the opportunity to be present in this territory and come together as a community. Further, I want to respect and affirm the inherent and treaty rights of all Indigenous peoples across this land. We recognize the contribution of Métis, Inuit, and all Indigenous peoples have and continue to make, both in shaping and strengthening this community and our country as a whole. Now, as we get started, I would like to do a deep set of thanks to BDC Capital's Thrive Venture Fund. They have come on this year as our title sponsor for International Women's Week. Very special thanks to Michelle Scarborough, who could not be with us this morning as she's traveling internationally, but the support of BDC has been immense. We are very, very grateful. And of course, as part of today's event, we are celebrating She Boot, our investment readiness boot camp for women tech and tech-enabled founders. And that has scaled nationally with critical support from NRCI rep Kathy Griffiths. If you're joining us online, thank you so much. We are incredibly grateful for that support. And it's now my equal privilege to bring forward my friend and colleague, Julia Elvidge. She is a director at the Capital Angel Network, a co-founder of She Boot, a founder herself, an investor, and someone who's made an incredible difference in our community. Please join me in welcoming her to the stage. Thank you.
And I'll ask my panel to come on up. I see you, Elizabeth. And we're going to have a joint panel, well, partly virtual, partly in real life. Come on up, Elizabeth and Sarah. And I will take you through that in a couple minutes as we get organized. Yeah, sounds good. And we're going to get you a couple of microphones. Okay. And Maureen, you too. Yeah, I'll put you there. It's almost like there's a divide, though. There's founders over here and investors over here. So, no. I'm joking a little bit. Excellent. Today, I hope to continue the real stories that we just heard from Arlene and talk with some investors and some founders. Again, we're partly virtual and in real life. But because of the magic of Bayview Yards, and I believe if I'm supposed to say Ross Video at this point too, this is coming to you very synchronicity. I don't know. Well, let me start online. You have Nadia Ladak, joining us from Marlowe. Welcome, Nadia. She is the CEO and co-founder of Marlowe, and I'll have her talk about Marlowe in a little bit. Lise Burkundavi, I did it. Barry Kundavi, thank you, joining us from BKR Capital as one of our investor group. And then I'll move over here. Maureen O'Higgins joining us. Maureen is a CAN investor and O'Higgins Capital. No? Consulting. Okay, perfect. And then we have two founders. And again, we are not trying to divide between investors and founders. We're trying to build relationships. Elizabeth Odette Bodo from Welby and Sarah Danielle from MyDomo Studios. So we're going to have each of them introduce themselves to kick things off, and then we're going to go a little bit deeper and hear from a founder perspective and an investor perspective about the effect of angel investing on them and why they are angel investing to start with. Okay, so I'm going to start with Sarah and ask Sarah, and I'll do the founders first, and then I'm going to move to the investors. So Sarah, can you introduce yourself and MyDomo Studios, please?
Yeah, I'd love to. Can you hear me okay? So my name is Sarah Danielle, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of MyDomo Studio. And at MyDomo Studio, we're an all-in-one design management platform that enables interior designers to manage their projects from beginning to end. We are a female-led company who enables primarily female creative entrepreneurs to spend less time doing busy work, a lot of paperwork, things they don't like doing, and enable them to do the creative parts of their business. And yeah, but we're also more than software. We're a community, and behind that community, we enable our design professionals to have continuing education opportunities to really excel their businesses forward. So whether they're starting out with us right out of school or they're more further along in their journey, they can continue to grow with us from beginning to end with their business. Thanks.
Thank you, Sarah. Elizabeth?
So my name is Elizabeth. I'm the CEO and founder of Welby. And at Welby, it's very, we talked about this morning, so it's a bit of an emotional subject right now, but we are in the senior living space. We help senior living communities provide personalized experiences to seniors. So from helping them getting to know the person and them not being just a number within their home, but actually who is the person, and then being able to automatically generate some programs that would interest them and that would get them out of their room so that they're not socially isolated. And then we give the staff the tool and support to be able to then communicate with the families and make sure that they involve the family into the process. So as you know, this is a growing pain, and this is why Welby has been growing so fast.
Great, thank you. And tell me how old Welby is.
So Welby is 6 years old. The latest product that we're working on right now is 4 years old.
Yeah, and Sarah, how old is MyDomo Studios?
We're 8 years old.
Yeah, okay. This is a bit of the startup era we'll come back to. And Nadia, I'm going to have you next talk to me a bit more about Marlowe.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. It's really a pleasure to be here and excited to chat today. My name's Nadia. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Marlowe, and we're a women-founded menstrual health brand that has created the first ever lubricated tampon. And it really all stemmed from a personal need. So growing up, I was a swimmer, and I would always get really frustrated when I would have to basically pause on life when on my period. And I learned that I wasn't the only one. There was a lot of people that, whether it was their first period or they were premenopausal, experiencing dryness, a lot of people had insertion pain. In fact, 1 in 3 women will experience some dryness. And so we were really determined to find a solution. We had gone to the doctor, and the doctor told us to spit on the tampon to make it easier to insert. And we just couldn't believe the lack of innovation in this space. And so we went on to create our product. And even more than that, we're really passionate about building a movement around menstrual health and providing education to reduce the stigma around these topics. And I was actually a She Boot participant in one of the first cohorts. So it's nice to have this full circle moment and kind of talk a bit about our journey in She Boot as well.
Wonderful, wonderful. And Nadia, how old is Marlo?
And Marlo's 2 years old, so we're quite a new start.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And now I want to introduce the investors. And Lise, if you could kick off and tell us not only about BKR, but also, your investing background a little bit more.
Absolutely. So I'm Lise Birikundavi, and I'm the co-founder and managing partner of BKR Capital. It's a real pleasure to be here this morning. My background, I started a career in the hedge fund space, but I was always very passionate about social change. I'm a bit of an activist myself. So growing up in Montreal and seeing the gap between what I was seeing in the Black community and the perception of the Black community, I wanted to bridge it. For me, it made no sense. I was seeing so much brilliance. And I just thought, I was always wondering what should I do to basically help bridge that gap and make sure that a lot of people from my community are able to contribute as much as they can to the overall Canadian society. When you're seeing talented people who are sort of, being taken opportunities away, everybody loses in a way, right? So being in the investment space, I realized the power of the private sector. And that's when I decided to create BKR Capital with my business partner. So I'm skipping a lot of steps, but I've been, investing in emerging markets for quite some years before coming back to Canada and creating BKR Capital, which is a VC fund that invests in underrepresented founders. We focus for the moment on the Black community. So we have a technology focus. We're sector agnostic, mainly investing in pre-seed and seed stage companies in Canada.
Okay, great. We'll come back to that and talk a little bit more about BKR Capital. Maureen, welcome. And before I fully let Maureen introduce herself, there's a number of Capital Angel Network women investors in the room. Could you put your hand up, Victoria? Yes, just to so you can see and chat with somebody that is already an angel investor. But today, Maureen is joining us to talk a little bit more about her experience.
Hello, I'm Maureen O'Higgins. I've had a career in tech, specifically telecom, initially at Nortel and then consulting, working with municipalities and internet service providers to expand broadband availability in Canada. Broadband availability is really important for social reasons and for enterprise and business reasons. I've invested through Capital Angel Network and She Boot for quite a few years. She Boot, I'm very committed to She Boot. So I've participated with She Boot on the selection committee as a mentor, as an investor, and through both of these organizations, I've watched certainly these three entrepreneurs progress with their businesses. And it's an honor to be able to participate in some of these businesses. You see these businesses start from an idea. Hopefully we see them when they're well beyond the idea stage, but they're still at a very early stage. We watch them progress and evolve into something that's much more saleable, let's say, than what they started with. All these women have come up with businesses that support society in really important ways. They grow from, as I said, an idea to a business that grows enterprise in Canada. These are businesses that are invested in because we believe they can grow. We believe that they will become significant socially, but they will also become employers. They'll contribute to the Canadian economy. So that's one of the reasons that I like to invest in angel companies.
Wonderful. And thank you, Maureen. And we're going to come back to that too a little bit more, but I want to talk to the founders a little bit more and just hear a little bit about your funding journey. to put things in perspective. Each of you are in a slightly different point in your funding journey. And, give us a little bit about your, some of the highs, some of the lows to bring into perspective for this group, where you're at. Nadia, you go first for me, please.
Sure. So about 2 years ago, in May 2021, we raised a pre-seed round of $500,000. That was our very first funding round. And now we're in the process of raising a $1 million seed round, which is almost closed as well. So we're very excited about that. And in terms of some of the highs and lows, I think as a women's health company, we definitely faced a lot of challenges in funding. We were usually pitching to people that didn't really experience the problem themselves. And so naturally, it's very hard for them to get passionate about the problem that we're solving. We got asked quite a lot of funny questions throughout this journey as well. People who have never even seen a tampon asked us to try and dip it in water and show them over Zoom how a tampon even works. People didn't understand that this was a problem. They kept saying, "Isn't this a niche market?" And we kept replying, "Well, this happens to 50% of the population. I don't know how this could be a niche market." So we got quite a lot of funny questions, but I think even throughout that, when we did close our funding round, we have a lot of supportive investors who don't menstruate themselves. A lot of them would go back to the menstruators in their lives and they would talk to them and say, "I heard about this company. Could you tell me a bit?" We would send them samples and those people in their lives would try it. And then they would come back to us and say, "Okay, I think I finally understand the problem. This is really cool and I want to learn more." So I think it's also about finding those people who can be allies as well, who maybe aren't even the investors, but people in their lives. And we also had to get really good at telling the problem in a way that maybe they could relate to it. So we said, think about trying to shave without shaving cream, or putting in contacts without contact solution. How uncomfortable would that feeling be? Well, this is the kind of feeling we're trying to solve as well. And so although there was some challenges in trying to tell our story and get the right buy-in, we do have a lot of supportive investors who have give us strategic advice, who have made us partnerships, who have given us the capital. So a mix of both throughout our journey for sure.
Well, that's great to hear. And congratulations on being that close to finishing the round. Sarah, tell us about your journey to date, some of the highs, some of the lows.
Sure. So we've raised about $1 million to date. And so we're the oldest company here. And we've had a little bit of a non-traditional way of raising our money. So my idea when we first started was to have this platform built primarily for female entrepreneurs in a business that really wasn't considered a business by a lot of investors. We were told we're not a real tech company. So there were some challenges early on, and those were uphill battles. And I'm very thankful that there's a handful of these women in the room right now who believed in our idea early on and enabled us to do a handful of smaller rounds overall throughout our funding journey, and enabled us to get through those first, let's say, 4 or 5 years that were quite difficult. It was just a business that really wasn't valued. It was perceived not big enough. Vertical SaaS wasn't really appreciated. Payment processing wasn't considered a viable revenue stream. These were all uphill battles that we had to fight for. And now, 2020 comes, I think my business is going to fall apart. I'm freaking out. And what does it do? It grows 280% in payment processing, 150% in customers. Thank you. And the conversation around raising money has drastically changed, where I now feel like I'm in the position of being able to be more confident to say, like, what I was saying 5 years ago is still true today. Just more people are believing it. So last but not least, it's that idea of what we're told to fail fast. And so I actually am really thankful that I didn't fail fast. So it's kind of a sweet spot of having smaller rounds throughout this journey enabled me to take my time, learn, not blow through a whole bunch of money when the industry wasn't ready and people weren't valuing the things that I knew were going to enable our growth later on. So it's kind of a blessing to really be able to have taken longer and now have that stronger growth.
Wonderful. Great story. Can I have you move up a little bit, Sarah? I can't see you all the time. Elizabeth, you're in a different place right now. You've kind of been through one round. Now you're working on the next one. Tell us about those stages of your growth.
Yes, so we, like I said earlier, Wellbe is 6 years old, but we have a recent product that is 4 years old. So we did a very large pivot, like we pretty much pressed erase, restart. So what we did is initially we had done a portion of our someone doesn't want me, okay, we're good. Someone's like, I don't care. Okay, so we did what we call now pre-seed part 1 was before the pivot. Then after that, we did pre-seed part 2, which was total 1.4 million. So that lasted a very long time because we were still trying to figure it out, like put bluntly. And then once we figured it out, we were like, okay, this is it. This is our product. We have product market fit. We have clients. Let's go. We went on and raised 3 million. So in total, we raised 4.4. Thank you. But I think you should have applause to Sarah before bootstrapping is even more impressive. I just want to say. Yeah, so we raised 4.4, and then I think the biggest strength at Wellbe that allowed us to last this long while we were trying to figure it all out was everybody that supported us, all the grants that we got. So in total, we got about 1.6 million in grants. So in total, in funding at Wellbe throughout the 6 years, we got 6 million in funding, and our next step will be Series A, which will be opening probably at the beginning of next year. But I think the biggest challenge through all of that is we were counting our dollars, like every single dollar. Susan is in the room from Number Crunch. She knows I'm very.
She's saying cash is queen.
I'm like, why is there a dollar there? Why is there a dollar there? I need to get out of this mentality.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we've been very conservative. Some investors were not okay with that, and it was okay for me. I was like, well, it's not going to work together. And obviously we had to talk to a lot of people, but I think we found the right investors that understand our market, understood that we just needed this kind of big whale, this big client that was going to unlock everything. And once we figured out that it's not everybody that can understand our space, senior living is very, like, everybody's got older parents to care for, but they don't understand the business under it. So once we understood that, that's when things really started working out. And our last round, I'm proud to say that we were raising only 3 and we had commitments for 9 million, and we had to say no because we didn't want to dilute the team too much. So I think we found our sweet spot now.
Wow. You could have gotten 9? Yeah. Wow. Oh, that's fantastic. Okay. Yeah, but it's good you said no too. Yeah.
Yes, it's good to say no, especially for early on investors. They thank me.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay. So I'm going to come back and hear more about that journey, but I want to hear from the investors. And Maureen, I'll have you kick this off. Tell me about how you pick. I mean, how do you make decisions? How, what drives you to make investments? Tell us a bit more.
Well, picking is tricky. Angel investing is a high risk environment. You do want to pick companies where your risk is maybe among those companies a little bit lower, where your possibility and probability of success is a little bit higher. For me, I like to pick companies where the problem feels real to me. And the founders have, they've found a market that makes sense. They've got a product that makes sense, and they're managing the company well. They listen to advice, or you think they'll listen to advice. It's tricky. You're gonna have some winners and some losers. And like some of my favorite companies have been the ones that haven't been successful. They're not favorite in every way, but I like them. I like the business. I thought it was going to be great. I still think some of them could have been a good business. But of course, the favorites are the ones that do actually do well.
And how are you de-risking your angel investment? What are your strategies for that?
Sometimes you can be involved with the founder a little bit. I've been involved with one company where the founder did reach out and was looking for involvement, maybe a meeting a quarter, that kind of thing. Some people sit on an advisory board for some of the companies that they invest in, and that can also help to maybe provide some advice, help them find the skills that they need. That that can help to de-risk the investment.
Okay. Okay. Great. Great. And Lise, you've done some angel investing. You're investing as part of BKR. Tell me about the difference between the two and how you handle those differences, just to educate us a little bit more between angel investing and VC investing.
Absolutely. Well, as a VC investor, most of our own investors are institutions. So we take investing other people's money extremely seriously, and we do thorough due diligence. We're very big on governance, and this is a process that takes time. We get to know the entrepreneur. And really get to go deeper, because that this is a 10-year relationship. So, I mean, the fund has a 10-year life, but so that the maximum of a relationship can be 10 years. And when you're investing early stage, usually that tends to be 6, 7, 8 years. Versus, and I'm not an experienced angel investor, so I've done 3 investments. So I think that a lot of people in this room have done way more than myself from that perspective. It's, ticket sizes that are a lot smaller for companies that are at the stage that is a lot, earlier than what we do with our fund, despite doing pre-seed. But what I found worked well for me on the angel investment side, I'm a little bit less structured than my colleague here, where, I've had relations coming back to me and saying, hey, I'm starting this business, and knowing how thorough they were, I was just excited for them. I saw they were not even pitching to me, and I was like, can I put money? So the person I'm 2 different personas, where I spend tons of hours on due diligence for the fund. But when it's personal, I'm happy to take a higher risk on the concept that I love with people that I trust. But I haven't been part of an angel group, so I guess the process would be probably similar if it were people that were not necessarily part of, somewhat of a circle. For me, it is important that the investors, the companies that we invest in, understand what it is to be an entrepreneur. I think that on our panel we have people who have gone through so many hurdles. Being an entrepreneur is the toughest job in the world. And often what you see as a fund is a lot of companies coming to you and not necessarily understanding the pathway that is about to start for them. So for me, probing that understanding of the space, that understanding of the challenge ahead of you is very important. Like the people are much more important than the idea or the project itself.
I love that. Yeah, the people are the key, especially in the earlier stage investments. And what are you looking for in that person then, Lise? Just a little bit more on that.
So first and foremost, the understanding of what they're getting into from a true place. I really love when there is also real understanding of the pain point that they're solving. People who have gone through it, or who are working very closely with their potential customers. Sometimes you have entrepreneurs who have seen an issue and feel like they can basically solve that issue, that they are almost in their basement solving for that problem. But what amazes me, I love when people are co-creating with their customers. So that they are in there in the field. I love when you can sense that they are resourceful. It's people that you can basically let in any room, that they will find their way, like getting to meet the right person. They're able to sell themselves. So you're there to basically give them a nudge, but that they have what it takes to be successful. And Arlene alluded to that a little bit earlier. It's that transparency, that relationship, that person who also understands what you're looking for as well, and where you're able to build together. Because this is a long-term relationship. You don't want to be in a fight throughout the growth of the business. You want to make sure that they understand why, what's the reason you came in for, and you're also very respectful of their own objectives.
Okay, great. And time is just flying, unfortunately, as usual. So I'm coming back to the founders, and I'm throwing out a slightly different question than anything I've told you in advance. So who wants to answer first? I mean, what are you looking for in an investor, and why is it important for more women to invest? Anybody?
Sure, I can go. So for me, it's definitely the mentorship. and I take it really seriously. Like I do email and ask for questions. I currently have a new investor, Brittany Forsyth, who was at Shopify there, and it's been an invaluable relationship. She meets with me monthly. She makes that time for me. I come with a list of questions and we set actions, and it's out of the good, like she's invested, but it's also her time, and her time is so valuable. And so I don't know what I don't know, right? I know the interior design space and I know how to build software and I know how to sell that software, but we're getting to a new growth phase of the company, and I'm looking for those resources to help me get over that next milestone. So it's really just about, I'd say, mentorship mostly.
For us, it's very similar to you in terms of mentorship, but for us, it was also, I want you to have been there. I think one big thing that I've learned over time is that there are some investors that were very generous with their money, but because they hadn't been there, they didn't understand what we were going through. And the questions that I would get, or the like, it would just slow us down. I wanted someone that could bring us up, that could just be like, hey, I understand what you're going through. This is what I've been through before. This is what I've learned. This is gonna be very raw, but we have something at Wellbe that we say it's, if someone have stepped into the shit before you, please make sure they point where it's at so you don't step into it again. So this is the type of investors that we're looking for. Sorry.
It's okay.
I feel like everybody
Arlene
understands.
did it already. Arlene threw out that word. So yeah,
Yeah.
We're not on cable TV or anything here. Excellent. Okay. Did I let you finish, or?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
this is it. If you've been there and you can contribute and you can support, I think that's a big thing. And I think everybody in here has made their money in a certain way, and if it might fit with us, it might not. And we're looking for the ones that does have a fit.
Well, I'm curious, and Nadia, I'm going to let you start this one off. I'd like to hear from you too, but does an investor need to come out of the tech community? Do you need an investor that has worked in tech or not?
I don't think so personally. I was going to say they touched both on what they look for in an investor, but even just why we need more investors in the space. And this kind of alludes to your question too, is we need to find, entrepreneurship is about finding problems that you're passionate about solving. And so we need to have people who have experience in all types of problems, not just tech problems. Mine's a good example. I mean, our platform, our product is not tech, but we're on an e-commerce website, so we have some tech elements, but people need to have understanding of consumer products, like Arlene said, of food and bev, of healthcare we were talking about earlier, financial services. There's lots of things outside of tech that need to be solved and that are big challenges in the world right now. And I think there's a lot of challenges that only women will experience as well. My company is a perfect example. There's people who don't identify as women who menstruate as well, but this is a problem where we need a lot of people who understand it, who are passionate about solving it. And even Maureen said it too. She looks for problems that she can resonate with, that she's passionate about. And so it doesn't have to just be tech. It can be anything that needs to be solved around the world.
Thank you, Nadia. We're going to open up for questions from the audience and the chat. So I'm going to have microphones shared around. Okay, we're going to use one of those. Okay. Okay. There we go. There's a question on the front table here. Thank you. Just before that happens, so as we do the prep there, Maureen, what would you tell another woman that was considering investing? What are they going to get out of investing? Why should they bother?
For one thing, it's a diversification of your investments. For another one, it's a way to give back to your community and to contribute to the economic strength of Canada. These companies will be future employers. They help build Canada.
That's great. Yeah. Go ahead, please. I don't hear you yet. Try again. Yeah. No. Okay.
Hi, I'm Angela. Oh, that's loud.
Welcome, Angela.
Hi. So my question is really for both sides of the formula.
Okay.
For the founders and the investors is what are the line items, one or two line items that really we're seeing where the funds are going, or where the funds that you're investing, where are they going? Where do you need that help? Because in my case, I'm in commercial real estate. So I have 30 years of experience on all the full run of it. So I can certainly advise, but I'm interested to see, where is the money going? Is it in production? Is it in real estate? Is it in tech? Where are you needing the money, and where do you see where you're investing? Where do you see them putting it?
Okay. Who wants to start?
I can
Marnie?
start.
Okay.
I'm sure there's a need across the board. I see companies that are more involved with tech because I invest through angel groups that are targeted. So I invest through Capital Angel Network, which their focus is tech, and I invest through SheBoot, and they invest in women who have a tech component to their company, to their business.
The word scalable is one of
It
the
has
ones,
to be
yeah.
scalable,
It has-
and it has to have a tech component.
Yeah, that's fair. Lise, do you want to add to that at all, where your focus is?
So we're a generalist fund in the tech space too. So that's where we invest in. I think I understood the question in two different ways almost. When the money is received by a company, where do they spend it first? Like the line items, or was it more sectoral? We invest in tech, we're generalists. We love the thesis around future of work. That's something that is really strong for us. We love the thesis around the unmet needs of minorities, right? When you have a huge total addressable market that is being ignored. But then when you invest in early stage companies, in terms of the first line items that are being developed, it's usually human resources and the tech aspect where they use the money first.
Okay, great. And just from a founder perspective, where is the money going first and foremost for each of your companies? Just quick answers.
I think for us, it changes from stages. Like early on, it was really, let's try to get a customer, let's try to get a product, like an MVP turned into an actual product that can scale. And right now, our biggest focus over the past months have been, okay, I was wearing 100 hats. It's time for me to hand off a few of them. So building our leadership team and then building the sales team.
Are you down to 50 now? Is that 50 hats? Yeah, okay, good. Sarah?
Yeah, ours is about the same. So it really depends where you are in the customer, or not the customer journey, but the journey of the company. So it's early on, heavier in tech, getting the product out. Then it pivoted to building a bit of sales. And now it's like super heavy in marketing. There was another tech investment in there before. So now it's like dump it all into growth.
Yeah, okay. And Nadia?
Ours is quite similar as well. A lot in inventory and developing the product and production, and then a lot in growing the team, and marketing and sales is the most that we invest in, getting the product out there on social media, with influencers, ads, a lot of things around marketing and growth and getting the product out there to more people.
Yeah, and you definitely have that inventory thrust that these two SaaS companies don't. Okay, any other questions? Yes, Victoria at the back. Thank you.
So yeah, I kind of hear a dilemma here that founders are saying that they want active angel investors who can help. But I don't think any angel investor can be that active because of the day job or whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe both sides can share with us, for those who don't want to be an active angel investor, what's the vehicle here? So how you get involved, and whether funders that are you okay with that? Maybe starting from the investor side when you're not active.
Are you active in all your investments, Maureen?
No,
For example.
definitely not active in all investments. I think that investors choose, along with their entrepreneurs, what investments they want to be active in. And entrepreneurs, though they want some active investors, many of them, well, some of them just don't even really want terribly active investors, but most of them only want a few active investors. It's really hard to juggle advice from every direction.
Agreed.
And you want active investors who have some expertise in your area.
That's fair.
So then would be founders share. What's your view on those passive investors?
How many investors do you have, just to give us a perspective? You don't have to count them individually, but I mean, and how many are active?
We have probably 30 investors, I'd say. they're not all active. What I mean in our selection is more of we're building a network of people that if I know I have this problem, I can reach out to. If I send a mass email to all our investors and I ask for certain things, I know that it will relate to some of them with their experience. And there are some that are very active that I knew I wanted and that I've said, hey, I want you to be very active because I need you. I need us to meet every month. But I think it's also on the other side of being someone that initially we thought could be silent or more of a silent investor and turn into initially like I was getting calls every week and I'm like, listen, like this is not going to work. I gotta make you money. You got to give me time to make you money.
Okay.
So we fixed that right away. But then after that, it kind of gave me a bit of PTSD in my selection.
Okay, I'm going to jump to Lise, though. Lise, you're in a different situation, right? As a VC, how active are you in the investments that you make for BKR?
It really depends on the needs of each company. Sometimes the best help you can give to an investee is also to be out of their way, right? So we're trying to make sure that we have an understanding of what are the different gaps and what they want, and then structure something around it. So we're trying to add value that's really core to our strategy, but we don't have the same active plan for each one of them.
Okay, so what we've heard generally is activity is different depending on the investors. Some are not very involved, others are very involved. And I probably have 20 different investments, and some of them I'm actively involved in, and others I get an update maybe once a quarter, if I'm lucky. Sometimes, depending on the founder. They are encouraged to give me updates. Any other last questions? We're down to our last minute. Okay, which is great because the next session is going to tell us a little bit more about how to be an angel investor. And I have a huge thank you to this panel. Thank you, Sarah, Elizabeth, Maureen, Nadia, and Lise. For taking the time today. I really appreciate it. And I hope you'd be open to answering questions for some of these people as we finish off as well too, either online or live. But thank you very much to the panel today. And I'd like to welcome up Lorraine Mastersmith from Gowlings and Jennifer Francis from Capital Angel Network to run the next session for us. Thank you. Thank you, panel. Oh, you got one? Okay, you got one? Thank you. Oh, good. Thank you. Okay, we're good.
Yeah, we should set it up. We'll pretend we know each other. All right, so we're getting towards the end of the breakfast. So thank you all for staying this long. It's always hard to bring up the rear. So we're going to talk a little bit now. So you've heard from Arlene Dickinson, you've heard from our three founders and two investors on the panel. Now we're going to talk a little bit more about why become an angel and how to become an angel. So with Lorraine here. So if we can go to the next slide, please. So I'm going to hand it over to Lorraine to talk a little bit about why become an angel.
There we go. Oh, sorry. Hi, everyone. I'll just do a brief introduction of myself. If I don't know everybody in the room, I do know lots of people, though. Hi. I'm Lorraine Mastersmith. I'm the firm managing partner of Gowling WLG Canada. I just recently took over that position January 1st, so very new into a very big role in the firm, which is really fun and exciting. But I'm also here as an angel investor as well, and as an entrepreneur. I own a business called Kin Vineyards in Carp, which is pushing the edges of we're the most northerly plantings of Pinot Noir and Chardonnay in Ontario. So pushing the edges from an entrepreneurial perspective on the wine industry. But it helps me identify with my clients who are entrepreneurs. I really do feel your pain. We struggle, we're bootstrapping. And so, we know we need more sales and marketing support, but how to get there is the other question. So bringing hopefully some good perspective to you from all three of those perspectives. And Gallings is a huge supporter of Capital Angel Network. We have been for many years. Many of our lawyers, we have 200 lawyers here in Ottawa who, many of which have invested in local companies, and really hugely happy to be here on behalf of Gallings supporting Capital Angel Network and the She-Boot program as well. So let's get on to the meat of the issue. In terms of, you heard Arlene say it, and I'm going to repeat it. We need more funds in the game for supporting our women entrepreneurs. Less than 2% of VC funding is going to companies that are led by women. And only 17% of angel investors are female. I'm really happy that Capital Angel Network is bucking that trend with a much better percentage. And 15.2% of partners and 8.9% of managing partners in the VC world as women. It really is important that we change that narrative because, studies show that women in the audience, when a pitch is being made, is far more likely for an investment to be made in that woman entrepreneur than if there are no women at the table. You heard the entrepreneurs speaking, themselves about their experience. If you're pitching a female product to a table full of men, they're not going to get it. And so it's super important that we change that narrative, we change the game, and we up the game and get more women around the table. And those of us who have capacity to invest, participate. So we'll get to a little bit more of that later.
Next slide. Next slide. Oh. Sorry, last slide. You went too.
I think you skipped one. So why become an angel? One of the best reasons, I think, is becoming an angel investor, and I can speak from a personal perspective, it really gives you the opportunity to invest with impact. So you can identify with entrepreneurs that you want to support, help them, guide them, provide the other things that you bring to the table, not just your money, mentoring, networks, all of those things are super important. And it's a really rewarding experience to be able to, see a company come along and it's one of those things where, you support a young entrepreneur through their journey, and you really, there's so many who I think, I feel so passionate about wanting them to succeed and see their struggle and see the barriers that they face, and, just being there to support them and say, keep going. You're doing a great job. You have a great product. Don't give up. And to me, that's a really important thing, to be able to help people along in their endeavors to build a successful business. And so, and having the ability to introduce them in your network, just, make introductions to other people who can help them, who've been through what they're going through, who, have other people that they may know that can help them or that are interested in investing in their company. So there's so many different ways to get involved, and it really is a community. Being involved in the Capital Angel Network is an awesome community, and She-Boot program is another amazing community. So there's a lot of that you get out of it. It's not only giving, it's also a rewarding experience.
And hopefully in the end you make some money.
Exactly, yes. Yeah, don't forget that part. Well, I can say personally, I've had lots of not successful investments, but you have to take the good with the bad, so.
Yeah, and you won't make money off of every single angel investment that you make. It's your portfolio that should make money. And as you heard from the founders, they're also looking for that support and help, not just a check. Although, having a monthly meeting with all 30 investors, not practical, but having a few of them that are willing to meet with you, and then other ones that are willing to open up their network and provide support and make introductions, promote, advertise your portfolio companies to help them be successful as well.
Sorry, Jennifer, there's one thing I forgot to mention. It is on the slide, and that is there's empirical evidence that shows that women-led teams outperform men-led teams. And so we should all step up to the plate and support those women-led teams.
All right, so that's why you should become an angel investor. So how do you become an angel investor? Next slide. So Capital Angel Network is the largest angel group in Ottawa. And our mission is to lift the region's entrepreneurial potential and facilitate access to investment opportunities for qualified investors. And there's a lot of good reasons why you want to invest with a group. It makes it a lot easier to get through the process of angel investing. Looking at different companies, when you've got a group of people that you're working with, you can split up tasks, you can get other people's perspectives. Sometimes your own biases might get you really excited about something that may not be a good idea, or opposite, pull back from something that really is a good idea. So having a group and different perspectives around the table can really shift your perspective on different investments and help make good decisions in terms of getting an overall balanced portfolio and hopefully make some money while supporting the local entrepreneurs. Next slide. So just a few highlights. CAN has invested, it's actually higher now, over $50 million since 2009. 85% of that investment is in the National Capital Region. Over 20% now, over 30%, sorry, I should have updated these slides yesterday. Over 30% of CAN is now female angels, and that has made an enormous difference in our investments, as 50% of our investments last year were either led by or co-founded by a woman. And that's why we really started these breakfasts, was to get more women into the group so we could support more women founders. As we do see, it shifts the conversation. Having a diverse team of angels will shift the conversation with the founder, which makes it easier for diverse founders to get investment. So we do find, our male investors are investing in women-led companies. So we're seeing that shift. It's not just that women are investing in women-led companies, it's that having that mixed group makes it easier for everybody to invest in different things. And as I said earlier, it helps everyone check their biases when you have a diverse group of angels at the table. So it's been good for everybody's portfolio to do that. Next slide. So just I guess you were going to.
Yes, I'll cover this part. So one thing just to keep in mind, to be an angel investor, you don't have to be a multimillionaire. There's, from a legal perspective, there's some minimum financial requirement tests that you have to satisfy. But what you need to ensure is that you do have the financial capacity to lose your entire investment, and you have to go in knowing that that's a possibility. I don't want to be negative, but it does happen. Not every entrepreneur is successful in their first bid, and you may think that this is a great product and it's going to be a fantastic hit, and it may just not work out. So you have to go in with your eyes open and know that. But from a legal perspective, basically you need to have $200,000 in net income yourself, or $300,000 with a spouse. $1 million in sort of cash type investable assets, not your home, included in that. And it's just one or the other of these. It's not all of them. So as long as you meet one of these tests, $5 million in total assets, you are qualified as an accredited investor, and that gets you over the legal hurdle to becoming an angel investor. The other is just your risk appetite. And being willing to put money in for those causes that you want to support, those entrepreneurs that you feel a connection with, that you really believe in what they're doing and want to support them. And, it may work out and it may not.
Yeah, and as you look at these requirements, as Lorraine said, it's one or the other, not all, that you have to qualify. And we do recommend as an angel that you build up a portfolio, because some of your investments will fail. That's true at the angel stage. It's also true at the VC stage. But you don't have to do it all at once. So you don't have to, in year one, create a balanced portfolio of 10 different companies. And you build that up over time. And so you can get started, you can do some small investments first, get your feet wet. My first investment actually made money, so that worked out well. Some of the later ones didn't. But and then use the capital that you're generating to reinvest in. So many different ways to get started, different ways to build up your portfolio. Or you can just buy the vineyard.
Yeah.
And if anyone's had Kin wines, they're great.
Thanks, Jen. She-Boot is a wonderful supporter of the vineyard. I really appreciate that.
All right, next slide. So in terms of becoming an angel, there's a few ways to do it. We're obviously Capital Angel Network and She-Boot here. So we like those ways of doing it. But there are other ways to get started. So you can attend a Capital Angel Network event as a guest and just check us out, see what you think, listen to some pitches, get familiar with the process. We do hold Angel 101 sessions. So we usually hold an Angel 101, which is an hour-long getting started with angel investing. We usually hold that about a month after this event. So we let you digest what you learned here and then come and attend an Angel 101. We also have She-Boot, and you can join She-Boot as an investor. That's a $10,000 commitment, or as a coach or a mentor. If you've got an area of expertise, coming in as an expert in particular subjects. Or you can just join Capital Angel Network and get started, write checks. Next slide. So, that says third, should be fourth. So we just finished our third cohort of Capital Angel Network, and we are Marlo, who you saw was in the second cohort of Capital Angel of She-Boot, and we'll be starting our fourth She-Boot, opening up calls for applications in April. So if you are interested in getting involved with She-Boot, you can reach out to the three co-founders, Julia, Sonia, and myself, on getting involved in She-Boot.
And it's a great way to, sorry, I should yell. It's a great way to start your angel investment experience, because, you can participate at lower dollar values and become part of the community and learn, from your initial investments by approaching it that way.
And we have a few She-Boot investors in the room. So if you're a She-Boot investor, you can put your hand up. So we've got a few of them around that you can talk to about the experience of being a She-Boot investor and supporting women founders. And we had 15 women founders go through our program last year and looking to do the same this year.
And it's across Canada now,
It's
right?
across Canada now. Yeah. Next slide. So She-Boot, just to explain what it is a women-led business boot camp that helps women entrepreneurs get investment ready. So the focus of She-Boot is that investment round, getting your company in order to receive investment. So it's not an accelerator boot camp. We're not teaching you how to grow your company. We're teaching founders how to get investment in their company. And you heard from a few founders, it's a bit of a journey to get investment. So we take you through that journey, and it's designed by women investors for women founders.
And I'll just mention, Gallings is super happy to be a sponsor of She-Boot. We provide entrepreneurs with assistance in figuring out how to set up their companies. We do one-on-one consultations with the cohort members to, with any of their legal issues, help walk them through, identify what further assistance they might need. It's a great rewarding experience. It works from the Gallings perspective, it's a wonderful opportunity for our women lawyers to become involved in this community, and they really appreciate the opportunity. And it's a learning element for them as well. And it's really nice to see, building that next generation of women networking together and working together. It's really wonderful to see.
Yeah, and it's super helpful for the founders as well. As part of becoming investment ready is legal. And that's both getting all your legal paperwork in place in order to be able to receive investment, as well as understanding the legal terms. And this is true for new investors as well as founders raising for the first time. There's a lot of terminology around raising investment gets thrown out in the room. And Gowlings does one of the sessions called Deal Docs on helping you make sense of all the different terms. What's a safe? What's a convertible note? What are the different terms on equity? What's the right of first refusal mean, et cetera, on deals. So lots of legal and financial stuff that we take you through, and then pitching and pitching and pitching and pitching. Next slide. So the 6-week boot camp will be running in the fall of 2023. So you can mentor a woman founder, expertise, leading workshops, joining shadow boards, or investing the $10,000 for the pitch award. We're looking for 30 investors for a total pitch purse of $300,000, which is what we invested last year. That's $150,000 for the top company, $100,000 for the second place, and $50,000 for the third place company. And that's an investment into the company that we do. And we do that with the sponsorship of Mistral and Welsh to manage the pitch investment that goes into those companies. Next. And with that, we're coming to the end of the Angel Breakfast. I want to thank everybody who came in person through the snow and everybody who joined us online and stuck with us for the 2 hours. It's great to see everybody. And overall, this is women investing in women in order to make it a stronger ecosystem. So thank you very much.
Thank you.